Moving on to the next session, we have Mr. Jonah from Philippines. We are pleased to welcome Mr. Jonah, a seasoned legal practitioner with over 2 decades of experience in litigation and alternate dispute resolution. He's the founder and president of the Philippine Arbitration Center in the Visayas and currently serves on the board of trustees of the Philippine Dispute Resolution Center. Mr. Pueblo is a certified arbitrator, a professor of law, and a recognized authority in construction arbitration, having chaired numerous tribunals under CIAC and PDRCI rules. His academic and professional contributions, including international training and authorship in ADIA, reflect his deep commitment to advancing dispute resolution in the Philippines and beyond. We cordially invite Mr. Jonah to share insights on the realm of ADIA in Philippines and enrich today's session. Over to you, sir.
Hello, good evening here from the Philippines. I hope everybody can hear me. Can I see a thumbs up?
Yes, sir, we could hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Inba. Thank you for inviting me. So I'm attorney Jonah Pueblo. I'm a lawyer from the Philippines. So I'll be discussing arbitration here in the Philippines and how Philippine arbitration affects also or interacts with international arbitration. So if you will allow me to share my screen. Thank you very much. So I'll be discussing Philippine arbitration institutions and recent Philippine Supreme Court jurisprudence. So my lecture will scope are the various arbitration institutions in the Philippines, what law affects Philippine arbitration, Philippine Supreme Court jurisprudence on arbitration, and the Philippines in international arbitration. Next slide, please. So what are the various ADR institutions in the Philippines? So we have the Philippine Dispute Resolution Center. It is considered as the premier arbitration center in the Philippines. Most commercial arbitrations in the Philippines are conducted through the PDRC. We have a new one also, the Philippine International Center for Conflict Resolution, or the PICCR. It acts as the arbitration arm of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. That's a primary legal society in the Philippines. And then the aim of the Philippine International Center for Conflict Resolution is not only domestic arbitration, but also international arbitration. And then the last one, which is close to my heart, the Philippine Arbitration Center in the Visayas. I'm sorry, can we go? Yeah. It is the first school-based arbitration center in Southeast Asia and the first arbitral institution outside of Manila. So in the Visayas, which is the heart of the Philippines, we have an arbitration center which was founded in a law school. And through that law school, we enhance or advocate the awareness of dispute resolution, including arbitration. Next slide, please. So what Philippine laws affect international arbitration? So we have this perception of international arbitration. The general perception is that party autonomy. However, because of certain laws, especially on construction arbitration, the Philippines has quite a unique setup. In what sense? Because we have this law known as the Executive Order 1008. For all intents and purposes, we have, when it comes to construction dispute in relation to arbitration, including mediation, if it's a construction dispute, you have the jurisdiction is through the Construction Industry Arbitration Commission, or the SIAC. No? It's a statutory obligated arbitration. That means it is because it's required by law. So if you have an arbitral dispute involving construction, you have, if it's in the Philippines, you have to follow or go through SIAC, no, or the Construction Industry Arbitration Commission. Also, we have the Public Act 9184, or the Government Procurement Act of 2003, wherein all government procurement disputes, even if there's no arbitration clause, because of the mandate of this law, you are required to resolve your dispute through arbitration. And if it's again a construction arbitration, you will have the jurisdiction is with the Construction Industry Arbitration Commission. Notwithstanding, even if you put you place in your arbitration clause a different institution, whether it's international or domestic. And then our Republic Act 9285 or the ADR Act of 2004, we created our Office for Alternative Dispute Resolution. It provides accreditation of arbitrators, mediators, or ADR practitioners who wants to resolve disputes governing or concerning government entities or government-related disputes. So these are usually the three major Philippine laws that may affect international arbitration. For if you're an international arbitration practitioner, who you might find it a little bit different, especially on the concept of party autonomy. Okay, so next slide, please. So as I've said, insofar as construction arbitration is concerned, even if you have a different arbitration clause that provides a specific arbitral entity or institution, but if it's a dispute, a construction dispute in the Philippines, you have to file your case, or anybody can file the case at the Construction Industry Arbitration Commission. Because Section 4 provides that SIAC shall have original and exclusive jurisdiction over disputes arising from or connected with contracts entered by parties in construction in the Philippines. And it's so expansive that it does not only deal with direct construction-related concerns. Even adjacent aspects of the construction dispute may be covered by the Construction Industry Arbitration Commission, not only issues of workmanship, but it will also include violation of the terms of agreement, interpretation, payment default. No? So the only thing that is excluded on the very expansive jurisdiction of the SIAC is issues of employer-employee relationship, and if there is no arbitration clause in that contract. That is the only time that SIAC cannot have jurisdiction. So there should be an arbitration clause, and it should be construction-related dispute. However, again, as I've said, if it's a procurement issue, even if there's no arbitration clause, because the law already requires parties that in the event of dispute, you have to go to arbitration. If it's a construction dispute, then it has to go with the CIAC. Next slide, please. So, obviously, numerous case. I'm sorry, I lost my screen. Well, numerous cases were filed challenging the jurisdiction of the CIAC. I can't seem to find my screen. Well, in any rate, as I've said, there's a case where one case or a party to the arbitration clause provided for a specific institution other than the SIAC. Now, for example, there was a case that it said the case should be filed at the ICC, or the International Chamber of Commerce. But since it's a construction dispute, they went to the Supreme Court of the Philippines, and the Supreme Court ruled an arbitration clause or a submission to arbitration shall be deemed an agreement to submit an existing or future controversy to the CIAC jurisdiction, notwithstanding the reference to a different arbitral institution or arbitral body in such contract or submission. So that was shut down by the Supreme Court, saying SIAC still has jurisdiction. In another case, the Supreme Court stated that since SIAC jurisdiction is conferred by law, it cannot be subjected to any condition, nor can it be waived or diminished by the stipulation, act, or omission of parties. So as long as the parties agree to submit the construction contract dispute to arbitration, or if there is an arbitration clause in the construction contract, the SIAC, no, as long insofar as construction arbitration dispute in the Philippines will have jurisdiction. There was also an issue whether who has legal personality to file a case involving the collection of sum of money which involves a construction contract. That party challenged the SIAC jurisdiction, saying this is no longer a construction dispute. This is just a matter of collection of sum of money. The Supreme Court says the law does not preclude parties from stipulating a preference, despite the law providing a preferred forum or arbitral body, they cannot divest the SIAC of jurisdiction as provided for by law. And even if it is not primarily a construction dispute, but if it is related to construction, including collection of sum of money as a byproduct of that construction dispute, then the SIAC has jurisdiction over the matter. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. Here in the Philippines, the trend right now is the concept of dispute boards. Now, I don't know if some of you are familiar with the concept of dispute boards, but right now, because of the numerous construction projects in the Philippines, the government is beginning to use what we call, if anyone familiar, FIDIC condition of contracts. So with FIDIC contracts, part of the dispute resolution mechanism uses dispute boards. In one of these construction disputes, one of the parties filed a case at the CIAC or the SIAC, saying that because SIAC has jurisdiction, then the case or the dispute has to be resolved by SIAC. The other party challenged it, saying, no, this is a FIDIC contract. And it is clear in the FIDIC contract, as part of its multi-tier dispute resolution mechanism, is that a dispute board has to be convened first before it can go to arbitration. The Supreme Court said no. Even if there are other forms of dispute resolution mechanism that is required, but the end result is arbitration, then the SIAC can immediately acquire jurisdiction. So, in a sense, on the perspective of international arbitration, practitioners in international arbitrations who are into construction arbitration, especially dealing with FIDIC contracts, are a little bit aghast, for a lack of a better term, with how things work in the Philippines insofar as construction arbitration is concerned. With regards, however, on the perception of whether the Philippines is an arbitration-friendly jurisdiction, I promise you the Philippines is an arbitration-friendly jurisdiction. Why? Because of the numerous rulings of the Supreme Court favoring arbitration. So, for example, the Supreme Court of the Philippines, in one of its cases, decided that interpretation of contracts should be construed to favor or give life to the arbitration clause rather than defeat it. Another ruling of the Supreme Court where arbitration was challenged, the Supreme Court stated that arbitration agreements are liberally construed in favor of proceeding to arbitration. Thus, the general rule in the Philippines, insofar as arbitration is concerned, when in doubt, the Supreme Court will rule in favor of arbitration. The Supreme Court will rule in favor of the enforcement of an arbitral award, except if it violates public policy rules. So the Philippines is an arbitration-friendly jurisdiction. In fact, Filipino lawyers are quite adept insofar as international arbitration is concerned. Why? Because of our history. Now, we were colonized by Spain. So we are our judicial system is well entrenched in civil the civil procedures or the civil aspect of the practice. But since we were also colonized by the Americans, we are also adept with common law. So we are both a civil law and a common law country. And for international arbitration, that is considered as an advantage. So, insofar as the recent ruling of the Supreme Court in Mabuhay Holdings, or that we call the Mabuhay Holdings Doctrine, in view of the numerous Supreme Court rulings, the Supreme Court said it will always lean towards presumption in favor of ADR. The Supreme Court will not review or reverse an arbitral award unless it violates the public policy rule. So if you want to challenge the enforcement of an award in the Philippines, you have to make sure that you have a very strong public policy grounds. If not, expect of all likelihood your challenge of the enforcement of that award will be denied by the Supreme Court. It will always favor the arbitral award. There are rulings or there are attempts to challenge an arbitral award wherein they insist on the modification of these arbitral awards. The Supreme Court said no, you cannot modify an arbitral award. So whether there is even a clear error on that arbitral award, the Supreme Court said the courts cannot modify arbitral awards. So what are the recent arbitration developments in the country? So we are now big also on sports arbitration and sports mediation. So the Philippine government entered into a MOA with one of the Philippine institutions in arbitration, the PDRC, which is the gold standard here in the Philippines. They entered into a memorandum of agreement where sports disputes may be resolved through arbitration and mediation. We also issued Republic Act 12021, or the Magna Carta of Filipino Seafarers. You would know that there are a lot of Filipino seafarers all over the world. With this law, it provides that all covered ocean-going ships are required to provide onshore and onboard grievance mechanism, which shall be submitted through voluntary arbitration. So if there are disputes insofar as Filipino seafarers are concerned, arbitration is the ultimate dispute resolution mechanism. In the tourism aspect also, we are creating tourism courts and establishing tourism arbitration and assistance centers involving tourist concerns. And the recent one is the Philippine Arbitration Center in the Visayas has signed a memorandum of understanding with Teres for the use of artificial intelligence in arbitration of disputes administered by the PACV. So, insofar as arbitration is concerned, we are now matching the international standard, where the use of artificial intelligence is used in arbitration hearings. And the Philippine Arbitration Center in the Visayas is the first institution that is using artificial intelligence in its arbitration cases. The Philippines has been in the international limelight for two arbitration disputes. One is the Philippines versus China arbitration in The Hague, covering the West Philippine Seas. So in that arbitration where China did not recognize the arbitral tribunal at The Hague, applying the doctrine of competence said, no, we have jurisdiction over the matter. They resolved and issued an arbitral award. Well, sadly, until now, it is not yet enforced, because on the international level, the main problem is how to enforce it with regards to states. And if that state doesn't follow, what do you do next? So that's where we are right now. But the Philippines won in that arbitration award. The other one is the heirs to the Sultanate of Sulu versus Malaysia. And this one is a little bit where heirs of the Sultanate of Sulu, involving the Sabah territory, tried to went to arbitration insofar as the company that handled I think the oil concession in Sabah, no? But despite the award issued in favor of the Sultanate of Sulu, this has not been enforced, and in fact, the arbitrator has been challenged and sanctioned. They tried to enforce this in Spain and in France, but I think it did not go the way they wanted. I'm not favoring any of these parties, okay? I'm just expounding to you two international arbitration disputes involving, in a sense, the Philippines. So that's Philippines versus China on the West Philippine Seas, and the heirs to the Sultanate of Sulu versus Malaysia. So, all in all, the Philippines is very arbitration friendly. Enforcement of awards in the Philippines has not been a problem, even for international arbitral award or foreign arbitral awards. But I do understand that some international councils or international parties are a little bit concerned with the monopoly of the Construction Industry Arbitration Commission in the Philippines, involving construction disputes in the Philippines. But insofar as the Philippines is concerned, the Construction Industry Arbitration Commission works. In what sense? in the Philippines, the SIAC is required to resolve a construction dispute within 6 months. So you cannot go beyond, an arbitrator is forced to resolve the dispute in 6 months. So all disputes involving construction disputes in the Philippines ends in 6 months. That has not been a problem with the Philippines, especially that it actually benefits international practitioners, considering that if the issue or the property that you want to challenge in the dispute is in the Philippines will immediately enforce that dispute. No, usually I advise clients in resolving on issues of construction, if the property or the company where the money is in the Philippines, you're better with the Construction Industry Arbitration Commission filing it at the SIAC, because the Philippines will immediately enforce it. But obviously, if the property, if you want to enforce an award where there's no property here in the Philippines, then you're better off handling it to the international whatever arbitration clause that provides an international institution, assuming it's an international arbitration in construction. So I promise Inba that I'm going to finish it in 30 minutes. So I hope I've done my I've complied with it properly. I'm happy if there are any questions insofar as Philippine arbitration is concerned.
Joner, I have a participant question raised here. Anyway, before going into the question, thanks for the highlight of DRBs, the dispute review boards in Philippines, and the interesting judgment about the public policy making Philippines to be a pro-arbitration regime. A participant, Mr. Sushil Shankar, has raised, what is the basis for arbitration in seafarer dispute in the Philippines? In which contract does an arbitration clause exist when it comes to seafarer? Any thoughts on that?
Thank you for that question. So basically, yes, this is what we call the statutory required or statutory mandated arbitration mechanism. So if it's a contract with a Filipino seafarer, which generally is being issued in the Philippines, then you are whatever that contracting company is or maritime company is, you can be sued in the Philippines, or the seafarer can file an arbitration case here in the Philippines. And you will be because it's mandated, then the Philippine law will require you to comply with the arbitration. So it's the intention is to protect the seafarers, the Philippine seafarers, which right now I think compose like almost 55% of the world seafarers.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenna, for the enlightening presentation and particularly sharing one more interesting note about Philippines and PACV, wherein it emanated from the law school, a university. It is hats off for the efforts done in Philippines, and universities, particularly universities attached area centers, have to facilitate. That is very, very important. And with this note, I thank once again on behalf of KFCRI to joining in this GSADR Tirunal or day and made it a success as of now. We're very happy, and our relationship should be there for the GSADR Alliance. Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you very much for having me, Inba. Good evening to all.